For the better part of 2 decades, Floyd Mayweather built a persona so airtight that millions of people who hated him secretly envied him. Money Mayweather, the man who turned boxing into a personal ATM, the fighter who could not be touched inside the ring and who had apparently figured out how to be equally untouchable outside of it. While every other great boxer in history eventually succumbed to some version of the same story, we saw the taxes, the promoters, the entourage, the lifestyle that outlasted the income. Floyd was different. Floyd was the one who understood the business. Floyd was the one who cut out the middlemen and made himself the promoter. Floyd was the one who called himself the greatest businessman in the history of sport while also calling himself the greatest boxer. He had reason to believe that narrative. He grew up in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the son of Floyd Mayweather Sr., a former professional boxer who served time in federal prison for drug trafficking.
During his son's teenage years, his uncles Roger and Jeff were both professional fighters. He was born into boxing the way other people are born into a trade. And he learned early that the sport itself was less dangerous than the ecosystem surrounding it. The promoters who owned contracts, the managers who took cuts, the television networks that structured deals in ways that subtracted heavily from what fighters actually received. He watched the people around him get used and discarded, and he made a decision that defined the rest of his career. He was going to be the one holding the pen. By the time he split from Bob Arum's top-ranked promotion in 2006 and established Mayweather Promotions, he had already begun the process of restructuring his finances in a way no boxer had attempted at that scale. He negotiated directly with HBO, then with Showtime, leveraging his pay-per-view numbers, which were the largest in the sport, into contracts that gave him a meaningful share of the revenue rather than a flat fee. He brought in business advisors, tax attorneys, brand consultants. He talked about money constantly.
Who got the highest gate?
Floyd Mayweather.
Who made the most money?
You did.
Who was the most accurate fighter of all time?
You were.
In ways that were designed partly to antagonize and partly to signal, I know what I'm doing and you don't. At the peak of it all, he earned $1.1 billion in his professional boxing career. That number is not an estimate. It is a documented fact. $1 billion in boxing. And now, in early 2026, a picture has emerged that looks remarkably familiar to anyone who has ever watched a great athlete at the end of their story. 2 commercial properties in foreclosure, a Las Vegas strip club behind on its property taxes, a Manhattan penthouse he stopped paying rent on while posting photos of himself surrounded by stacks of cash, a Gulfstream jet sold off quietly, a $54 million loan taken out at 9% interest, using his properties, his club, and the jet as collateral. A Nigerian media company owed $3 million, a court authorizing the repossession of his luxury cars, including his Bugatti, to settle that debt, a lawsuit against Showtime Networks demanding $340 million that he claims was stolen from him over the years. And sitting underneath all of it, the fact that he has scheduled 3 fights for 2026 at 49 years old. The money that vanished. The first question anyone asks when a fortune of this scale disappears is, where did it go? With Mayweather, the answer has the same broad outlines as every boxer who came before him, but the scale is so dramatically different that it becomes its own category. He bought watches.
I need you guys to watch me talk about my watches. Right here, I got 3 cases.
Not a watch collection. A watch collection so large that financial analysts who examined his assets said it was one of the few things that might actually retain resale value. One watch cost $4 million. He brought his watches with him everywhere in a designer backpack and would take them out to stack them in public. He gambled at a level that financial professionals described as amateur, betting 7 figures per wager on team sports, a category where even sophisticated bettors lose money over time, then posting winning tickets on social media to signal that he was up, the way someone who is not up typically signals it. He owned over 100 luxury cars. The mathematics of a car collection that size are unforgiving. In a fire sale, you recover approximately 50% of what you paid. Maybe. He took out loans against his private jet and then sold it in late 2025. The same year he stopped paying $100,000 per month in rent on his Manhattan penthouse while posting photographs from it on Instagram. His landlords A Miami couple who purchased 2 apartments and combined them into a single luxury residence for him described reaching out about the missed payments and receiving a single $100,000 payment, followed by complete silence. He settled a $22 million personal back tax debt with the IRS in 2017. He invested what he publicly described as $100 million in a Manhattan real estate portfolio through a company called Go Partners. Business Insider investigated this claim and reported that he had invested a nominal amount and did not continue, and that the money he had invested had been absorbed by Go Partners without proportionate return. The gap between the public performance of wealth and the private reality of financial management is not unique to Floyd Mayweather. It is the story of almost every athlete who came before him, dressed in better clothes and told on a larger stage. What makes it different in his case is that he was supposed to know better. He was the one who watched everyone else make these mistakes. He built his entire brand on financial sophistication. He was Money Mayweather, and the money was the point. The $340 million question. In February 2026, Mayweather filed a 25-page lawsuit in California against Showtime Networks and former Showtime boxing executive Steven Espinoza, seeking at minimum $340 million. The lawsuit alleged fraud and conspiracy. It alleged that Espinoza and Mayweather's longtime manager Al Heyman had worked together to divert a massive share of Mayweather's career earnings, somewhere in the range of $340 million out of his gross career total of $1.1 billion, into various destinations, none of which were Mayweather's bank accounts. The scale of what Mayweather is claiming was stolen from him is significant for 2 reasons. The first is obvious. $340 million is an enormous amount of money to claim was misappropriated. The second is more telling. Nobody files that lawsuit unless they need to. Espinoza, for his part, denied everything. He said he had spent his career making sure fighters received every penny they were owed, including Mayweather. He said his reputation was one of integrity, and that he was proud of his record. What the lawsuit confirmed, regardless of its eventual outcome, was that the financial picture around Mayweather's career earnings was considerably messier than the public persona had ever suggested. The man who claimed to control everything, who built an empire specifically to cut out the people who historically robbed fighters blind, was now claiming that people had robbed him blind anyway, and that the robbing had been happening for years without his knowledge. Boxing insiders who watched this unfold noted the uncomfortable echo of what had happened to fighters throughout history. Mike Tyson sued Don King for $100 million, claiming King had stolen from him. The settlement was $14 million. Jones claims Ali earned tens of millions, only to be consumed by taxes and bad management. Every generation of the sport produces the same story with slightly different names, and every generation includes at least one fighter who was supposed to be too smart to become that story. The fight that tells you everything. The clearest window into where Floyd Mayweather is right now is not the lawsuits or the foreclosures. It is his 2026 fight schedule. He announced a professional return to boxing at 48 years old, putting his 50-0 record on the line for the first time since Conor McGregor in 2017. He agreed to a rematch with Manny Pacquiao, their first fight having been the richest boxing match in history, scheduled for September 19th at the Sphere in Las Vegas on Netflix. He agreed to an exhibition against Mike Tyson in the spring, which was subsequently postponed. He agreed to an exhibition against Greek kickboxing legend Mike Zambidis in Athens, Greece, in June. 3 fights in 1 year at 49 years old. Logan Paul, who fought Mayweather in an exhibition in 2021, stated publicly that Mayweather still owed him $1.5 million from that fight, claiming Mayweather had pre-sold the event using Paul's likeness to a company in the Middle East for $10 million in cash, then held a different fight in the United States with a different promoter, effectively double-dipping on the same fight. Paul described the situation with a mixture of disbelief and resignation. He said he and Mayweather had probably made that fight happen at a loss relative to what a properly structured deal would have generated, and that Mayweather had still managed to extract additional money from the arrangement in ways Paul had not anticipated. Then came the Pacquiao situation. Mayweather signed 3 separate agreements across 3 different dates in late 2025, received deposits for all 3, and took an advance against his purse for the September fight. Then, at a Las Vegas meet and greet in late March 2026, he told reporters the rematch was an exhibition and the venue was not confirmed, directly contradicting what Netflix had announced. directly contradicting what the signed contracts specified, and directly contradicting the position of Pacquiao's team, who had been operating on the understanding that they were fighting a professional sanctioned bout. Jas Mathur, the CEO of Manny Pacquiao Promotions, went to ESPN and said the words that encapsulate the entire situation. Floyd Mayweather is officially in breach of his contract. He said Mayweather had already taken advances, had already signed 3 times, had DocuSign records and wet signatures with IP addresses and device IDs, and could not now claim the fight was an exhibition. Then, Mathur added the line that cuts to the heart of what everyone in boxing had been circling around for months. If he's scared of Manny and does not want to put his record on the line in a professional boxing match, he should just come out and say it. Pacquiao said what he always says: "It's a real fight. I wouldn't fight an exhibition." The reason this fight matters beyond the contract dispute and the financial chaos surrounding it is what it reveals about Floyd Mayweather's position. His 50-0 record is his most valuable asset. It is worth more than his watch collection, more than his car fleet, more than his real estate portfolio. It is the one thing that has never been taken from him: the exhibitions against Logan Paul, against YouTube personalities, against international kickboxers. Those are not fights. They cannot touch the record. A professional boxing match against Manny Pacquiao, a man who at 47 years old had just gone toe-to-toe with a current world champion and taken a controversial draw, most definitely can touch the record. The man who once said he never does anything unless it benefits Floyd Mayweather is trying to get paid for a professional fight while preserving the conditions of an exhibition. He signed contracts for one thing, took money for that thing, and is now publicly claiming it is a different thing. The lawyers are involved. 9-figure damages are on the table. And somewhere underneath all the legal language and the press release back and forth, the real question is the simplest one. Why is the only undefeated champion in boxing history fighting at nearly 50 years old? The answer he will never say out loud. Floyd Mayweather will not say the word broke. He has never said that word about himself and will go to great lengths to ensure he never has to. When Business Insider published its investigation into his finances, his attorney dismissed it entirely. When the foreclosure notices appeared and the liens piled up and the Gulfstream was sold and the Bugatti was targeted for repossession, the public response was always a variant of the same message. The haters don't know what they're talking about. But the pattern is not unfamiliar to anyone who has studied what happens when athletes run out of money while refusing to acknowledge that reality. The loans escalate. The assets get leveraged to buy time. The income streams narrow to the one place where a name still carries immediate value: the ring. The fight schedule fills up. A man who has not had a competitive professional bout since 2017 is now fighting 3 times in 12 months at an age when most professional athletes have been retired for a decade. Floyd Mayweather was never supposed to be this story. He was the one who understood. He was the one who saw what happened to every boxer who came before him and built a system designed to prevent it. He had the promoter title and the manager title and the business card and the brand deals and the $1 billion. And now, in the spring of 2026, he is trying to turn a professional fight into an exhibition at the last minute. Because the professional fight, unlike the exhibition, puts something on the line that he is no longer sure he can protect. That is not the behavior of a man who has everything figured out. That is the behavior of a man in a corner. And the brutal irony of Floyd Mayweather's story is that for the first time in his professional life, the corner he finds himself in is not one he can box his way out of.